Welcome to Conversations with David Ibarra. Today's guest is Jon Weese, CEO and President of Heritage Automotive. Welcome, Jon.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me today.
Perfect. Let's start by just learning a little bit about you, Jon.
Okay. Well, I was raised in Utah. I come from a broken home, probably like many people. I got in the car business out of college, worked for my in-laws, started as a CFO, as an accountant. Started to kind of get a seed of interest in the car business, and it sprouted from there. Soon became a sales manager, a dealer, then took over several stores, and that's where I find myself today is running dealerships.
Perfect. So the Heritage Automotive Group started out, you mentioned your father-in-law. What did it start off as? How old of a company is it?
Well, his father started it in the 50s, and they basically had 3 stores. And that father handed down those 3 stores to his 3 sons, my father-in-law being the oldest. And they ran them for, 30, 40 years before I got involved. So they'd been around a long time.
Your father-in-law's name?
Bob Davis.
Bob Davis, yep. And then there was Charlie Davis.
Charlie Davis, Brett Davis, Grandpa Glade. He's still around, 94 years old, right. Still wants to be part of the car business.
So went from the Davis Automotive Group to the Heritage Automotive Group. Tell us how many stores you have and where your locations are currently.
Well, right now we got 5 stores. So it started in Logan, I went to Brigham, to Tremont, out to Vernal, and now we're out in Evanston. So we've got 5 we're running right now.
Wonderful. Well, today we're going to talk largely about leadership. And how is it that we get where we want to go and get what we should and could have, and what are some of the obstacles? So I want you to just share with us some of the things that really prevented you, stalled you, and then how you overcame those. Could you share with us the first obstacle that you can remember that you had to get over?
Well, are you talking about when I first started as
Yes.
CEO or before that?
Any obstacle you want to share with us?
Well, at first, I've always been naturally wanting and desire to be a leader, whether it be sports or high school or friends. So when I got in the car business, I soon wanted to be the leader. And my in-laws were getting of age, and it just so happened that I got in charge of taking over a store that had lost money for 8 years in a row. And so the first obstacle was, how can I do something that someone else hasn't been able to do?
Perfect. I think that's the time period just popped into my head as one of the first times that I actually met you.
Yeah, you met me, it feels like years ago or planets ago, but definitely a different mindset back then when I first met you.
Tell me about that mindset.
Well, the mindset was why I can't do something, why maybe I don't deserve something. Mindset was always reminding me where I came from.
Yeah.
Which kind of holds you back because Dr. Doubt creeps in and you start saying, well, the reason why I'm not getting what I want is because I'm not deserving of it.
So, that almost takes us to the first topic of great leadership. It starts with understanding our state of mind. It's really the head game that we play with ourselves. Negative attracts negative, a negative state of mind. Positive attracts positive. How is it that you overcame that and moved from being held back to saying, nobody's going to hold me back? Tell us about that.
Well, I think we've got some kindred spirits here, and what I mean by that is, I've always played with a chip on my shoulder. Always liked that role of underdog. But quite frankly, when you don't know what you don't know any different. And so I didn't know that I had the wrong state of mind. I didn't know that there was this other world or other perspective that if I could get into that realm would be life-changing. So quite frankly, and kudos to you, I was introduced to some of the conversation of Napoleon Hill and Think and Grow Rich and the mind model. And that's when it started to kick in. Was I was in such a desperate mode to be successful that I was willing to do whatever it took. And that's when, quite frankly, that's when our relationship started. And you started introducing me to what's keeping me, holding me back was myself.
Right. So as I recall, that conversations that we had really started a lot in Logan. You had been moved to the CEO of the entire group?
Yeah, so I was actually looking to buy out my family of the store that I originated at in Tremont. but they had counsel to do differently. They were counsel to, why don't you have Jon run your stores? And so when I got to Logan, I was quickly introduced to a store that was in trouble.
Now, I want you to, if you would, share with the viewers, and many of them may be, whether it's an automobile dealership, a printing shop, in the same position in thought. You're in Logan, and what position were you in new car sales in the Cache Valley community?
Well, if you took the top and you took the bottom, we were about that much further below the bottom.
Okay, so
I don't think we could have been any worse off, to be honest with you.
Let me ask you something. In your thoughts of why you were at the bottom end of the measurement, what do you think was the number one thought that was in your head that was preventing you from going forward and developing into the top 20, 30, 40, 60%?
Well, I think the biggest thing was the fact that I didn't think we could do it. I thought that it would just take hard work and things would just turn around. And when there was pressure put on and I couldn't turn it around as quick as it was needed, boy, I felt hopeless. I felt like, well, the biggest thing holding me back is maybe the tools that I didn't have, and then I kept looking at other dealers and I would go, why can they do it and I can't? Because that's always been in my mindset. Why can other people be successful and I can't?
So what changed?
The biggest thing that changed is my mind.
So the very first thing you got control of is to become a believer.
Well, the very first thing was I had a mentor say, you've got to stop thinking that way. You have got to take all that negativity, which I didn't label it at that time, and you've got to pivot it to where it can work in your favor.
Great. So the first rule of great leadership is understanding the brain model and a positive state of mind where it will take you and a negative state of mind where it will prevent you from going.
Yeah, because you quickly learn you'll never get what you want in a negative state of mind.
Great. You achieve that. The next thing that you moved to, and I can recall our conversations, was you developed quite a purpose of what you were going to be, and you viewed it, and then everything started to really come together. What was that purpose? Tell the viewers a little bit about that process of how you arrived at who you wanted to be, what you wanted as your business purpose.
Well, I believe that my purpose has changed. It continues to evolve. It's still on the same plane, so to speak, but the purpose to begin with was to survive. And once I was introduced to the idea, well, you can do much better than that. You don't need to just keep it going. You can actually excel and succeed at what you do. So my purpose then quickly became, what do I need to do personally to change my state of mind so that I can have a greater influence on everyone I lead? Because I was in such a funk state of mind that it would be impossible for me to turn to a colleague or someone I'm trying to lead and try to get anything out of them.
What was one of the first changes you made with the associates and leaders at the dealerships that you were responsible for that really made them see you were going in a different direction? What was one of the first changes you made?
Well, I think we went away from traditional, that traditional setup of a general manager and sales managers, and we started going in a totally different direction. I took what I hated about the car business and I tried to get rid of it. And one of the things of being a leader is you have to be present and you have to act and you have to show by example that you're going to do exactly what you're trying to tell everybody else. And so probably one of the biggest changes was we started focusing a little bit away from selling cars and a little bit into how do we become better at what we do, better people, better dads, better husbands, better friends. And that all started once again with, well, we got to have our minds right.
So then you went about developing a process of deliverables and executables that you could measure these actions. How hard was that to achieve, and how many years did it take you once you wrote it, once you wrote your purpose, once you wrote your processes that would make your purpose a reality. I want you to tell us a little bit about how long was that journey, and help the viewers understand that it's not just turning a light switch on. It's not going to happen overnight. And then if you would, share with them your today's purpose. If you have your mission statement, you could share with us, or just really what you talk about as the dean of your university, the Heritage Automotive Group. What do you want to instill in every mind of every associate that works with you?
Well, once again, I think the hardest part is the starting point. It's the purpose. And when I would you would keep asking me, so what's your purpose? Write it down. Well, it sounds easy, but it became really difficult to begin with. But as we started to roll out our processes, you always get pushback. That isn't how we do it. That isn't how it's been done. Maybe they've worked somewhere else, and that isn't how they did it there. But to have a reason and the why behind every purpose, and to tie that to the deliverable, which is the guest, made it quite a bit more easy. Now, executing it and having the discipline, I guess, to do it is a totally different deal. And quite frankly, David, I don't feel like I've reached it. Mm-hmm. I think the beauty behind all of this is that there's still more to do. And when you look at the mind model and you think of the state of mind and you think of, well, how can I get this message across to the people that I'm fortunate enough to lead? It opens up your mind. It forces you to go into the dark spots in your own life and say, hey, listen, I need to change that. And I need to be able to inspire others to do the same.
Well, let me ask you this. On your purpose, in one word, who do you serve in the companies that you have, in the communities that they're at? What's different about you than other businesses?
Well, number one, I don't focus on money. I can't say that I didn't begin that way. I focus on that experience, that feeling. We've done things differently. We don't call people guests. Or customers. We don't call them ups. We don't label people. We want people to feel like our business is an extension of home. And in order to accomplish that, everything's got to work right.
Perfect. So it's bringing in family, faith, community, health, and all of those things have got to be in harmony.
Absolutely.
Great. Well, let me, I want to talk to something that might be a little bit difficult to talk about, but I remember when we first met, you had a problem with the manufacturer. Would that be true? Why don't you share exactly what that was about?
Well, the manufacturer has the right to have people representing them that are successful, that are getting their market share. And that Logan situation, we weren't. And it had been a long time coming. And there had been many correspondences from the manufacturer basically saying, hey, you guys need to either get up and get in the game or get out. And by the way, I didn't know that going into it, which is probably a good thing. But yeah, they didn't want us there.
Well, they basically had written you some letters that never had been shared with you. Would that be pretty much sum it up?
Yeah, it was a surprise.
It was a surprise.
Pretty soon I felt like I had a target right on my chest, and I hadn't even been part of it yet.
So they were believing that the Heritage Group was not right for them. You were last in sales, or pretty close to it, in the Cache Valley. Jon, all of the things that you changed, one of them that I can recall is you reading the letter. We went through 8 items, and then we said, well, it would be good if you did this or not. And it was yes, 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 yes. And I can recall the conclusion was, well, why don't we just do it then? And it started it. Where are you today in sales in Cache Valley, and where is your standing with Chrysler today as opposed to that beginning point?
Well, I would like to not really correct you, but I'd like to have a different starting point.
Good.
And that starting point is it wasn't Heritage that was in trouble. It was a business prior to Heritage, because Heritage, I think, symbolizes all the change that we did. So once we made that change, within 2 years, we were the fastest growing Chrysler dealership in our business center. That doesn't necessarily say a lot, because when you're a bottom dweller, to increase twofold doesn't take a lot. But I'm happy to say the year 2021, we were the #1 new car dealership in Cache Valley. That means over Honda, over Toyota, over Hyundai, over Ford, over GM, over all the other makes. So
you went from
zero
bottom to top.
Yeah.
Man, that is quite an accomplishment for you and your group. How does Chrysler treat you today?
Well, I'm glad to say, we built a new dealership.
Mm-hmm.
They took a while getting out there because of COVID, but when they showed up, they said, this is the nicest facility we've seen. And now when they talk to me, it's more about, how did you come up with this? So we invited them upstairs. Excuse me. We showed them the Heritage University.
Mm-hmm.
We showed them all of our theming, which wasn't part of their brand book. And now they're looking at it going, wonder how we could do this at other places.
Great. When they walked in to your training facility, your university, which is incredible, did you have an onboarding class going on at the time, or was it empty?
No, we actually did. Yeah. And it was cool because we introduced him to the class.
Great.
And he's like, well, what are these guys doing here? And it was like, well, they're here to start to be indoctrinated on our culture, on what to expect, what's next.
So from the stores that you have in Vernal, in now Evanston, and Brigham City, and Logan, and Tremont, everybody comes to the Learning Center to get onboarded?
Yeah, so we just purchased a store in Evanston.
Uh-huh.
It's an obscure town out here, but they're all invited. Actually, it's going to be next Monday. And the first day, Monday, is my day. I spend the entire day with all my new hires.
What are some of the things that you go over with them during that day that you spend with them?
Well, the first thing we do is the Heritage Way, and we get into why we are who we are and what we're trying to achieve. We get into the mind model, how the mind works. We get into how we're stuffed, meaning just because you start off a certain way doesn't mean you have to end that way. I take them to lunch, and we have a nice, relaxing lunch together. We get back and we really dig into what's the difference between people who find success and people that don't have success. Why is there that valley in between those two people?
I would bet the number of people that are attending your onboarding first day in making a determination to join your team, do you think they ever had an onboarding session at any other place that they were employed at in the past?
I've been employed for a long time. It's hard for me to think back of when I changed a job, but I think it's safe to say that there's an extreme amount of anxiety. I mean, where do you park? Where do you hang your coat? Where do I sit? What am I expected to do? Are these guys really who they said they are? I mean, come on, where's the skeletons in the closet? And I think it gives us the opportunity to say, hey, you know what? Once again, this is who we are. This is where we're going, and we're glad you want to be part of our team.
So it really accomplishes the very first step, the mind model, or positive or negative. Be careful of what you think and seed into your subconscious, because you'll make it so. If they join a company and nobody's there to welcome them, and they feel uncomfortable, they're seeding their subconscious, this is the wrong decision. When they show up and you, the dealer, is there to spend the day with them, the majority of the time, all of a sudden, you're seeding their subconscious. Young man, young woman, you've just made the best selection of your life to come and join this team. And that's a positive thing. Powerful. How many business owners do you think categorize themselves as the dean of their university?
Well, I think very few. I think they're looking for someone else to do the job.
Yeah.
Just a turnkey, hey, let's get somebody else to show these guys where their locker is.
Well, I'll tell you, I got to give you some kudos here. There's two kinds of leaders. Ones that are looking for somebody that has the solution and hire them to fix their company. And then there's others that have the solution and are training and mentoring people to understand it and to share it with others. So when somebody has a success at the Heritage Automotive Group, and they conquer work, meaning that they're a participant and they're proud of it, how do you think it affects the rest of their life?
It's obvious. It's really obvious when that switch gets flipped. You know, they get to go home. They're not worried about their paycheck. They get to go home feeling like they represented something throughout the day that they can be proud of. So when they look at their kids, when they look at their wives, they go, hey, you know, I had a great day today. And this is why. And then I think everything we try to do at Heritage is to extend to home. One of the first things that I do in onboarding is to say, I'm not here just to lead a dealership. I'm trying to enable you to be a better person. And along this journey, I get to improve myself. And so we're just not a job. We're going to be what you spend a lot of your time at, and we want you to become a better person doing it.
I think there's no better calling in our lives than understanding the impact we make on other people and sending somebody home a better father, a better husband, a better mother, a better partner, a better neighbor. I don't think it could get much better than that, do you?
No, we're talking about leadership, and these same men and women get to go home and be leaders.
Boy. Well, Jon, I think that is the best place to conclude our conversation today, and I want to thank you so much for joining me, and I love talking about leadership with you.
Thank you, David. Thank you very much.
Perfect.